So in this session we are going to discuss about expressions. What is the use of expression? When you drag and drop, it's showing the column values, whatever you want you can add it, and then why you need expression. I can make it in such a way, I'll present, okay, let me frame it in this way. Expressions is used to make the value dynamic, or in other words, 99% you can say this is used for dynamic, setting the dynamic values. And also to add some extra stuff like concatenation, or let's say the value, the product name is AWC logo cap. If you want to add product at the end of each product name, then you can go for expression. Or if you want to add 2 to 3 column values into one, you can go for expression. If you want to set red color in some particular condition, you can go for expression. Let's see what is this expression and what options it has and all. Okay. First, let me take a tabular format rather than this one. Why? Because it's good if you have tabular format while explaining the expressions. I've taken a table. Let me design it. Give me a couple of minutes. I'll design it. Insert to the right. Insert to the right. I will add category. Subcategory. Color. Product. Sales amount. And let's say tax amount. Categories name I'm giving. Subcategories, color, products, sales amount and tax amount. Let me increase the column width. Subcategories, color, and let's say for products, sales amount and tax amount. And I'm setting the bold for this one. Fine. Let me execute the report once and check whether it is coming correctly or not. Okay, if you see, this is really irritating. Every time I have to select the parameters, right? Why can't I set the default parameters? How can I set the default parameters for any parameter? Default values for the parameter. How can I set that? What property I can make use of? Go to parameter properties and there you will find default values. But I set the default values, but still it is not showing. What could be the reason? I've set it, you can see the default values are set, but still it is not showing. What could be the problem? Specify values if you want to hard code 1 or 2. If you use the data set, everything will be selected by default. This is better option, right? Then specifying the values. Why it is not showing? Okay, if I go for specify values and if I go for expression as Samyukta said, what I'm gonna get here? I have fields, parameters, data sets, nothing. It's of no use. Why it is not showing? Okay, so the default values I have selected. I have selected that English product category name, but it is not showing. The reason is, if you see here the available values, I set the value field to category key and label field to category name. And in default values, it is asking for what is the value field that you want to set as default. What is the value field I have set? The value fields will be 1, 2, 3, 4. But here I will be trying to assign some categories, clothing and so on. It won't match. and that is why it will not select. If I give it as category key, that means it will, the value field there and the value field here will be matching, and it will select by default. Now the for product subcategory key also, if you see, the available value field is subcategory key, but label field is this one. In the default values, I am setting the value field as whatever the value field that I have that you have set in the available values should be set here. Earlier case, both the value field and the label field was the same. That's why it was not throwing any error. It was automatically selecting. Now, if you see the data, the parameter values are default by default selecting, and the report is getting generated. Okay, fine. Report is working, and parameters, default parameters are automatically selecting, and report is getting generated. Now, let's see the power of expression. Okay. First, let's talk the power of expression with colors. Okay, let's take the sales amount. If you want to set the text property, text color, then you have to go and set this property color. Let's say you want to see it in red color. If you set it to red color, it will be shown in red color. Yeah, this is torturing me. It is showing in red color. So if you want to, the color property will be has to be set for setting the color of the font, whatever the text or whatever the value you are showing. For that, if you want to set the color, you have to use the color property. If you want to set the background of it, then you have to use background color. There is a different option. So let me set color red for the background. So if you observe for the first sales amount, I have set the text. That is why I set the value red to the property color, and that is why the text is coming in red color. Whereas the tax amount, I set the property value to red for the background color property. So that is why it is coming in red color. The background is coming in red color, and the text is still in the same color, black, the default color. So if you want to set the text color, what you have to do? You have to come here to the colors and set some yellow or whatever you wish to. Then you can get the color in color combination as you specify. So this is very easy, right? To set the colors and to set the tax amount and so on. Correct? Now, what is the power of expression here? What expression? Where expression is helping me? Let's talk about expression. Okay. If I show all the color, all the values in the red color, that doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. My intention, let's say, if I want to give a user-friendly report, so that if the user sees the report, if I export this report, I'll get something around 60,000 records. And you can see 1,813 pages records. So if I can provide them an option to find out which one is not having good sales and which one is having good sales, that really helps the users, right? So let's say if the sales is not so good, and if I can show that one in red color, and if the sales is super good, if I can show that one in yellow, green color, that really helps, right? The background color of the cell. Agree? Think as a user perspective. Now let's see. The target is, I want to show the background color of the sales amount and tax amount as red when the sales is less than so and so and tax is less than so and so, and the same is in green color when the sales is above some target level. Okay. Now first let me revert the changes, whatever the changes I have done to the colors. Okay. The first thing, let's talk with the sales amount. How can I set the color of the sales amount dynamically? If I want to achieve that, I can't set it right hard-coded. I can't give some hard-coded color like, okay, by selecting this, if I set it, this is called hard-coding color. If I set it to red, this is hard-coded. The complete column will be shown in red color. But that is not my case. At runtime, while the report is executing, that time it has to calculate and it has to get the value and it has to set the color. Okay. So to do the same, we have an option called expressions. So if you select this, you can see more colors option where you can go for even more number of color. And if you know RGB colors like 255, 255, 255 will give some yellow color or white color. I don't remember it. 255, 255, it gives white. Okay, and if you give 245, it gives some other color. One second. Let me give 0 means it's yellow color. Red and green, if I give, it turns to yellow. And if I give something for blue, it comes this yellow, right? So you can give some advanced coloring also if you know RGB colors. If you're good in RGB colors, and generally people uses Excel sheet to get these RGB colors, and I'll show you how people uses Excel sheet to achieve the to get the RGB color values and use it in the reporting part. I have done that in my current project. That's why I'm showing. Let's say I set some color to this. More colors. I set this color. I like this color and I set it. Okay. And I don't know what is the RGB combination. What I can do? I can go to the format cells. It will take time. Here in the fill you can see the colors. Whatever the color you have selected. Okay. Where is the color? More colors. Under more colors, if you go to the custom, you can see RGB color is there. R is 255, red is 255, green is 80 and blue is 80. In the same way, you can copy the same values and paste it here so that the same color will be set. If you want to set it based on RGB colors, or if you want to set it based on some color in the Excel or somewhere else. Now, under that you can find the option expression. So this expression will help you in making the value, the color dynamic. Okay, let me show you how to give the expression. If it is hard-coded value, you can give like this, simply black, blue, yellow or something like that. If you don't know the name, you can select it here. It will give you the aqua, this color is aqua. So it will be selected. If you select this, it will take yellow. So if it is some hard-coded value, then you have to give expression value like this. If it is dynamic, then it should start with equal to. Means you are asking the server to calculate. Man, after this, if you start it with equal to, that means, okay, the one that is following with this equal to is an expression and you have to evaluate it at the time of generating the report. Now, what is the requirement? If sales amount is less than some value, give some color. Greater than some value, give some color. Something like that. So if the spelling of if in SSRS is this one, IIF. If bracket open, you can see what you have to write here. Expression, you have to give some expression, true part and false part. Okay. Can you see that? If some expression, true part and false part. I'm going to the fields here. I'm taking the sales amount. If sales amount dot value is less than 1000, comma, now true part. What you want to do, if it is less than so and so, show it in red color. Else, show it in green color. So, there ends the if part. Some expression is added. Now let me execute it. Can you see the text? Green and red. Whenever it is less than 1000, it is showing in red. And whenever it is greater than 1000, it is showing in green. So this is what we have set. And it is easy to identify for the users. Okay, there are this many red colors. They can easily identify it. Right? It's easy for them to identify. So this really helps. This expression is a very, very, very important one in SSRS. Without expressions, don't expect a complex report. Okay. If you observe this output, the color for this particular column is evaluated at the time of runtime, right? So that means it is dynamic. Dynamically, it is setting the color. Now let's see. Now you got an idea what is meant by dynamic part. Okay. Now let's see about expressions. what options we have in the expressions and where all you can give expressions and so on. First, let's see where all you can give expressions. You can give expressions anywhere wherever you find either this option expression or fx or some text box like this. Either this expression, or if you find any button like this fx, that means you can provide dynamic value for this. Here you can provide some dynamic value for this. In the same way, if you go to font, you can see for everything you can set the dynamic values. Okay. First, let's discuss about the different options available in the expression, and then we'll come back and try to set all the expressions once for at least one cell. Okay. First, let me go to the expressions. This is the sales amount text box. I'm going to the expression part, and you can see it is showing fields of sales amount dot value. That means this particular column is meant for sales amount value. Whatever the values that are being fetched by the field called sales amount. This field is nothing but the dataset field. Whatever the dataset field you are having, it's the same. This is the sales amount, right? That's the field, right? Now, this is the area where you can write the expression, the top text box, the biggest text box you can see on the screen, and you have some categories here. These categories will remain same for almost, the categories are same for almost all the places wherever you find expression. If you click on that button, it will open the same page, not similar page, with slight difference. Okay. Now, let's discuss one by one category. What is meant by constants first? Constants is nothing but whatever the values that you can specify as a constant for this. So whatever the value that you can specify as a constant or as a fixed value for this particular property, that is called constants. What is this? This is a text box, right? What constant I can give in this text box? What constant value I can give? Shiva, if I can give 0, as you said, why can't I give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1000, 10,000, 1 lakh? Now let's say, let me give one constant. I'm typing 1000 or 10,000, okay? Let's see what will happen. It executed and it has written the 10,000. That is constant, right? And I also can give some other thing, like Rupesh is not a trainer. Okay. If I give this is a string constant, it will display the same. Constant means it is not a dynamic value. Whatever I have given, that will be repeated for all the rows that I are getting. Now tell me what constants I can give. Can you list down the constants that I can give here? This is infinity. It can be anything. String, text values, whatever you wish to. And if you take integer value, it will go from minus so and so to plus so and so. You can't provide all the constants in this page. If I select constants, generally constants will be listed here. You can't provide all the constants that are available, right? So that is why for text box, the constants will be blank. That means you can enter whatever you want. This is a constant. And the same thing will be repeated in all the rows. Let me set it to dockable and let me dock it here. And let me set the size. Now I set the different constant and that is why it is showing the constant. Now tell me what it will show if I go and see the expression in the color. What constants will be shown for the color? This is color, right? If I click on expression, what will be the constants category? Constants category will say about what value you can set for the particular property. For color property, what I can set is nothing but colors. I can set only colors. I cannot set Rupesh or something. If I try to give Rupesh and if I click on OK, then it will say Rupesh is not a valid color. Why? Because that is not the property. That is not a constant value that I can set for the color property. Agree? In the same way, if I go to the font or some other property, let me go to font and let me go to, these are the different variables available, values available. And if I go to the constants, the same thing will be showing here. Like what are all the different values that I can set for this. If I set this, then it will be shown in this font. So the constants is nothing but for a particular, it will be changing from property to property, and for every property, whatever the default values that you can set or whatever the values you can set, the same thing will be listed under constants. But for text box, it won't list anything. Why? Because it is infinity. And font style, you have default, normal and italic are the three options that you can set for this. And if you go to the expression and go to the constants, you can set only these three. Okay. And in the same way, font weight, you have default, normal, thin, extra light, light. You can set any one thing here, right? You can set whatever you wish to. But if you go to the expression and if you try to set, the constants will show the same values, whatever available there. And in the same way, let me go to the text decoration. It will be either underline, overline, line through, none, and default. If I go to expressions, the constants will be the same. Constant is nothing but what are all the values that are allowed to assign for the particular property. The constants are provided to make your programming easy. Why? Because if you give something like this, if your intention is to set underline if the value is less than 1000 and overline if the value is greater than 1000. Let's say that's a requirement. Okay. If sales amount dot value is greater than 1000, then your intention is to go for underline, else overline. Okay. If you give something like this, what will happen? Will it work? Is it working here? Nothing is working. Why? Because the spelling you have given is not correct. If you go to the expression again, the overline and underline expression, I have not given the spelling properly. If you use the constants, it will provide you what are the values. If you set, it will work. This is the list. Let's say I want to give underline, just double click that underline, and the else part, if it is greater than so on, less than so on, so make it line through, something like this. Now execute this. Now the value that I have given is correct, and you can see either underline or cross, line through is showing perfectly. So the constants will help you in writing your expression, and it help in making the writing the expressions easier. That's it. Okay, and it provides a hint to us. Okay, what values you can set. What are the values that it will allow, this property will allow, and your SSRS report will work. That will be part of the constants. And constants will be there for every property except the text box. Why? Because text box you cannot provide infinity options. You can pass any value like integer, negative integer, positive integers, and what's that? The textual values, text and integer you can write in combination and so on. Now let's see the next option. The first category is constants, right? We have discussed about it. Now let's see the next one. The next is built-in fields. Built-in fields is mainly for footer. Footer and header, page header and page footer is there, right? Where you will be showing the execution time and page number And report folder means where this report is, in which folder this report is. And report name means it will give you the name of the report. And report server URL, where this report is deployed. You will come to know about all this report server. Total pages, how many pages are there in the report, and user ID and language, what is the user ID and what is the language, and so on. Okay, if you see, if I go for a report name, it's showing as globals. Global means it's a report level variable. It's global variable. If I click on OK and if I execute, you can see it is showing the report name, sales data, sales data, sales data forever. So if you want to make use of any of the parameter, any of the global variable, then you can go for the expression and you can use it. And these global values will be available in the built-in fields. What will happen if you give page number? What will happen? Will it show 1 for the first page, 2 for the second page, 3 for the third page, or how it works? For first row it will be 1, second row it will be 2. How it takes? Generally I've given page number there. Okay, I'm asking the server to give the page number in the text box. How it will show, what will be the output. Let me execute this, and you have given so many answers, but I don't go with this. It will throw error saying that page number or total pages. Okay, these global variables can be used only in the page header and page footer. It cannot be used in the anywhere in the report body. It can be used only in the page header and page footer. Why? Because it is page level, right? Report page 1, page 2 and page 3. That is why it is throwing error. If you have a footer, then you can add it. Add page footer and add a text box and go to the expression. I'm going to the expression and go to the built-in fields, and I've given the page number. Okay. Now it will execute and it will give you the page number at the bottom of the page. You can see it is 1 for the first page, and if you go to the second page it will be 2 and so on. Right? So why? Because page numbers is not a table specific or a matrix or something like that. Page number is specific to a page, and hence it can be given only in page footers or page headers. Clear? Now this is about the built-in fields, the fields which you can use, report level, and which you can use on based on your requirement. And these are the different values that you can find in the built-in fields, like execution time. If you use execution time, it will give you at what time the report is executed. And if I select this execution time here in this one, and if I click on preview, will it work, or it will throw error saying that it should be only in footer? Execution time is just a time. It's not specific to a page, right? So it won't create any problem. See, why the page number and total pages will create problem is it's a page specific. It's not specific to a table, or it's not specific to a report, or it's not specific to server time or something like that. Execution time is just a value. Whether you use it in footer or header or table, it remains the same, right? So that is why it goes for it works if you use this parameter. Only page header and page number and total number of pages will create problem if you use it in the tables. Okay. Now we have seen about two categories. One is constants and another one is built-in fields. What is the third one? The third one is parameters. Okay. If you click the parameters, it will list all the report parameters that are available. You have 4 report parameters, right? Those 4 report parameters will be available here. If I select this one, if I select category, okay, double click on that, it is saying parameters of this parameter. This is the name of the parameter dot value. Show me the value at 0th position. What will be the output if I execute this? Think about it and let me know. What will be the output if I execute this? So if I click on OK and if I click on preview, it will show you the value that is available at the 0th index, that is 4 here. The first one is accessories and the accessories ID is 4, I think. It is showing that value. So whatever the 0th axis, it will be showing the same. If you give 1 instead of 0, it will, if you give 1 here, then it will show you the value, it will return you the value which is at the 1. If you observe, this is parameters dot value. That is why whatever the value field that you have given, that value will be shown. What is the value field we have given for this parameter? For this parameter, we have given the value field like what is that? Product category key, right? That is why the value is showing 1, 2, 4 or whatever the value, that whatever the index that you are giving. It's just like an array. Okay. Now, how can I get the label name? If I want to show accessories or products, or accessories or clothing or some bikes or something else, how I can get that? Is there any way to get? If I go to the expression, this is the value field, and if you remove this, you have 4 different options. Dot count, get the number of values. Let's try one by one. Okay. What all you can set for parameters? Let's see one by one. First, I'm checking dot count. Dot count will return you what it will return. By the name itself is saying how many parameters are there, that will be returned using the dot count. Okay. What will happen if I select only 3? Will it show 3 or 4? What it will return if I select only 3 values, will it return all the available values count or only selected values count? Okay, it will show only selected values count. It won't show all the available values count. So dot count will give you how many values are selected. Okay, if you select only 1, let's say all components, and if you click on view report, there is no data. Sorry for this. Let me select any other so that the data will be available. Okay, now if you see, it is showing only 1. So this count, don't get confused by the value of something and count. Count will give you always how many selected. Okay, if you selected only one item, see the value, the expression I have given is this parameter dot count. That means let me know how many parameter values are selected. Okay, if 4 are selected, then 4 will be shown. If only 2 are selected, this is creating problem. Then 2 will be shown like this. Okay, now I have selected 4, the 4 is selected. 4 is showing here. If I select only 3, then the value will be shown as 3. You can see 3 is selected. So the count function, the count method is to return how many values that are selected. Now let's see the next one, or let's go back to the previous one. Value of 0 or value of 1 or value of 2, value of 3. See, this value will give the value that is available. Let's say value, it will be an array. How many values are there? You have 4 values. If you want to get the first value, second value, it starts from 0. If you want to get what is the first value in the parameter, then it will give you that. And remember, it will give you based on the selection. Okay. If you see accessory is selected and that is the 4th one, the ID is 4. Now let me remove this and click on view report. And now what is the selected? Bikes, clothing and components. So bikes key column is 1 and that is why it is showing 1. So it will show the first value among the selected. Now it is clothing and components. Clothing ID is 3 and hence it is showing 3. Okay. Now The same way you can go for labels. If I give label, you can easily understand, I guess. Now all the 4 are selected. And what will be the first label? Label of 0 I have given. So the accessories is the first one. Now if I remove these and if I click on view, the bikes is the first one selected. Bikes. And if I remove this and clothing and components, now clothing is the first one that is available. So clothing will be shown. So this is how the label of some index value and value of some index value will work. Now this is about the parameters category here. Okay, if you see the parameters category like this, you will be having all the parameters and you can show this. If you want to show all the values that are selected, okay, if you want to show all the values that are selected, then you can go for a function called join. So join function will be like this. Join of what is the array where you have the values. This label is having values, parameter cat dot label, comma, what separator you want to give. You have to give some delimiter, right? Delimiter means something, some separator between two values, any two values. So I'm giving comma. If I click on, if I close this function, now if you observe, I've given join of the parameter category dot label, comma. Now if you observe, there is no index. That means I want to get all the selected values and concatenate it with comma separator. That's what I mean here. Now if I go to this report, you can see accessories, comma, bikes, comma, clothing, comma, components. Let me remove components from here. Now what it should be? It should be accessories, comma, bikes, comma, clothing. Let me remove clothing too. If I click on view report, accessories, comma, bikes. So if you want to get all the values that are selected from a parameter, then you can use join function. The join function is pretty simple, right? So the join of whatever the parameter you want, that's it, comma some separator. Let's say you want to go for some other separator, let's say this delimiter. Can you see the tilt? Okay. Now if you go and preview the report, you can see the values with this tilt separator. Let's see that. Can you see the separator between these two? A separator can be anything. Even you can give space as separator. Space means some blank space. Instead of this, I want to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 spaces between each value. Let's see how it will display the output. If you see, accessories 10 spaces, bikes 10 spaces, categories 10 spaces, and components. So like this, you can play with the parameter options. If you want to show the parameters in your report, you can make use of these expressions. Okay. Now what will happen if I give comma separator instead of label, if I give value? If I click on preview, it will take the values and it will give the comma separator 4, 1, 3, 2. And why this underline and overline is coming? That is just because I set the property. Shit. I set the property. If you go to the font, where is that font style? Yeah, here. If you go to the font properties, I set the font property text decoration. If the value is greater than so and so, show me underline, else show me overline or line through. Something like this. I've set it, right? So this is because of this the values are getting the underline and overline are getting. If I set it to default, then you will not get that. That means the expression is deleted now. I set some default. That means whatever the default, it will show the default. That is no underline, no overline, or no line through. So this is about the expression properties in categories for parameters as well as constants. Now if you see that also we discussed about built-in fields. The next one is fields. In brackets we can see the data set name. So fields generally it is for table and matrix. Okay. Generally you will find it for table, matrix and charts, all these kind of, but not for text box. If you have a separate text box, now this is a text box of a report, correct? Now let me add only one text box. I'm just adding a plain text box outside of the table and go to the expression, and if you go to the fields you won't find anything. Why? Because this is a text box. But the similar text box in table or matrix, you will have the option for fields. Fields is nothing but whatever the columns that are available in the data set that you set for the table will be shown here. So these are all the columns that are available in that, right? So I can use any field that I want. Let's say I want sales amount. I can select it. You can see sales amount. If you preview it, it will show sales amount. So table means it will return the data continuously. I mean, it will just like tabular data, right? That is why in a table for a text box you can set the field, but in a plain text box you can't set it. Why? Because that's not a table. You will be getting a lot of records in the field. What do you show there? You can't show all the rows. Let's say how many rows are there? Something around 60,000 rows are there. How can I show all these 60,000 row values in one text box? I cannot show, right? That is why for text boxes it won't work. But for table it will work. Why? Because table will be repeating and it will be showing number of records, right? So that is why. And if you observe, you have this icon, right? If you select this, the same thing will happen. If you go to the expression page, the fields.tax amount, selecting there is equal to selecting here, coming here and setting the tax amount. Double click on that, it will return the same expression. So the fields is used in table, matrices, matrix reports. What else? Charts and so on. Okay. So this is about the fields, and if you see there are 4 more categories: datasets, variables, operators, and common functions, which we will be discussing about in next session, that is tomorrow's session. And keep in mind, this is very, very, very important, and that is why I'm taking time to explain each and everything. So I suggest you guys to practice these 4 and expressions. Whatever you want to try, you can practice. I'll share the video, you can practice and come back with good enough knowledge to the next session. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.